Chief Secretary Madhya Pradesh to kindly deliver the convocation address.
Chairman, Board of Governors and Secretary to the Government of India, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Shri Ashok Lavasa, Director of the IIFM, Shri Girdhar Kinhal, all esteemed members of the Board of Governors, senior officials from Government of India and the Government of Madhya Pradesh, respected faculty members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to especially thank the Board of Governors for doing me the honor of inviting me to be chief guest at this extremely significant function. It has always been a pleasure to be associated with the IIFM right since the days of my deputation to the Ministry of Environment and Forests 25 years ago, and now as Chief Secretary of the Government of Madhya Pradesh. But to come to the convocation as chief guest is indeed a privilege which I value, which I treasure. It is especially unique because both the esteemed Chairman of the Board of Governors, Mr. Ashok Lavasa, and the Director, Mr. Kinhal, both belong to the same batch that I do, and it's really a privilege to be part of this constellation of three of us from the 1980 batch on this stage. It makes me extremely happy, and I thank you for this privilege. I turn now to my young friends who have received their coveted postgraduate diplomas today. When you leave these portals after this function, when you've put away your caps and gowns and stored away your diplomas, you will see a new world. Nothing will have changed, and yet everything will have changed. To all appearances, it will be the same world that you have been seeing for the last 2 years. And yet, for all practical purposes, it will be radically different. Because from being your cocoon when you were here, it has suddenly now become your arena of challenge. It has become a world in which you are now going to set out to make your mark, to carve for yourself a niche that is more significant and better than the one you had before you joined the IIFM. The rapid and the dizzying pace of social and economic change that surrounds us can seem to be daunting, but it also provides a special thrill, and it comes with its own unique and exciting opportunities for you to hone your professional skills and your abilities and all the knowledge that you have picked up during the last 2 years and that you have been eagerly waiting to actually apply in real life situations. The global economy is recovering from its recession, has recovered from its recession, but while the world economy was in turmoil a few years ago, it says something profound for India that in spite of our liberalization of the last 24 years, we remained by and large unscathed from what was happening around the world. Our economy speeded up, slowed down a little bit, speeded up, but we never found that kind of turmoil. Of course, part of the reason for this is the government's constant policy of calibrated liberalization. But that does not explain the whole picture. It is increasingly being recognized that the role that managers of different kinds in India have played and the skills and abilities that they brought to bear on managing whatever they were doing in any business, any industry, any enterprise, anywhere. This has played a significant role in steadying the Indian economy, protecting it from the kind of turmoil and taking it forward in spite of that. There was a study that was done by management pundits from the Wharton Business School about 5 years ago. And then this study was published by the Harvard Business School Press. And the title of that study was The India Way. This would come as a surprise in some ways even to Indian managers. Because theoretically the conventional wisdom was in management schools to take paradigms already developed in the West and then modify them and sort of force fit them to Indian situations, and the ability to modify and force fit best was recognized or was thought to be recognized as the mark of good management. But actually what was happening, though it may not have been deliberate or designed, but side by side with this process, what was happening was that Indian managers, through their own innovative interactions and their robust responses to what was happening around them, and basing their approaches on certain core and typical Indian values, skills and abilities, were responding to these situations. The Chairman Board of Governors mentioned particularly some of these, particularly and notably Indian values. And it is the process of developing this and responding in that manner cushioned our economy from the roller coaster ups and downs that it could have faced. We are proud, both in the state government and in the central government, that the IIFM has, in its own unique way, been part of this response. It may have been a small, but it was a significant measure in shaping this uniquely Indian approach to management in general, through molding the minds and actions of your predecessors over the last 2-3 decades who have passed out from this institution. They have been part of developing this attitude, this India way. We all have to grow, but none of us want growth merely for the sake of growth. IIFM, by its very nature, has always emphasized the social dimension of growth, a dimension, as pointed out by the chairman, that goes beyond the mere tokenism of what passes for corporate social responsibility, but something that is more basic. To me, the real social contribution that a management school, whatever management school it may be, You are in the IIFM, there are other management schools, but the social contribution that any management school can make is when the institution ignites the minds of the alumni to find sustainable management solutions to the problems that confront society in general, but also the organization for which you are working, whatever that organization may be, whether it is in the private sector, in the public sector, in the civil society sector, or an enterprise that you choose to start on your own, a startup that you may go in for on your own, whatever you like to do, now or in the future. Because I'm told that with the kind of degrees you already have, all of you have been placed already in very good, significant and lucrative assignments, which is indeed extremely satisfying and speaks much for the value of what you have done here. But if we are to achieve this socially responsible response, then we have to ensure that in our economy the transaction and transformation costs remain at the lowest level. At one end of the spectrum is the ease of doing business that is constantly spoken about. But at the other end, it covers the entire gamut of transformation. These costs have to be minimized if we are to leapfrog and push the economy forward. Traditional, conventional paradigms will not give us the kind of growth push with sustainable responsibility that we want and that we require as a country. We would have to devise constantly new paradigms in order to guide us. And that, in fact, is the challenge before you, because people like me have already had their careers. It is people like you who are actually going out, setting out to make your careers. You have to develop a strategy. Constantly we have been told that the great challenge before us in this fast-changing, liberalizing world, integrating world, is to become more of a sameness, because the world is getting integrated in the way it is. The approaches should become more similar. But in fact, what has really happened, experience has shown us that the economies that have pushed forward are economies like China and India, of course, but also Brazil, South Africa, and even smaller countries like Vietnam, Cambodia. They have shown great increases, and they have all been doing business, they have all been doing commerce in their unique ways. And so, what is being proved is again this, that maybe the management responses that are required are to develop our uniqueness and our separateness, not allowing it to simply vanish. Integration means becoming part of the whole thing. But the approach doesn't mean that the approach to management has to be same or identical. You should treasure the unique values as well as the unique sensibilities and skills that have come about in this thing that has been recognized as the India way, and use these innovative strategies, leverage them to get success. All of you who make up this year's batch of convocants are moving out into the real world, a tough world as has been said by everybody, but I am confident that you are not daunted by the uncertain landscape that awaits you. You are in fact rearing to go, because all that you have learnt in the last 2 years, you are eager now to put into practice. You have had adequate inspiration from your teachers, from your faculty, also from the addresses of the Chairman Board of Governors and the Minister's VC address to you. You have now used this inspiration to whet your anticipation, and so all I need to do now is to wish you Godspeed. And I do this with my whole heart. My congratulations and best wishes are always with you. Go forth, make your parents proud, make your friends and colleagues proud, make IIFM proud, indeed, make the nation proud of you. Thank you, congratulations, all the best. Jai Hind.